Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. It's that time of the week again. It's Premier League predictions time. The international break is over. Club football is set to resume again. And the upcoming weekend's round of Premier League fixtures promises to be another exciting round of encounters. We're going to be going through each and every single game, talking about them, analysing them, and of course trying to predict what the outcomes of each and every single Premier League game will be. But before we get into all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And of course, I encourage you all to get involved in the comment section down below. Usually use that section, people. Give me your thoughts, your comments, opinions, feelings. But most of all, of course, give me your predictions on how you think each and every single game will finish this weekend. Would love to hear from you all, because after all, people, where would a Premier League predictions video be after all without predictions? Sound good? Great. Now let's get on with things, shall we? Let's start with the game that is going to kick off the Premier League once again, restart the Premier League once again, and that is the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday at the City Ground between Nottingham Forest and Chelsea, and I have gone 2-0 to the Blues. Now, Ange Postecoglou is, of course, still searching for his first win as the Forest head coach. Chelsea, of course, coming to this game off the back of that incredible performance against Liverpool. A big win for the Blues there. The Blues are very injury hit, so this could be seen as a good opportunity for Forest to maybe get something under their belts with Ange Postecoglou facing increasing pressure from seemingly both the media and, of course, the people above him on the board, mainly a certain Mr. Marinakis, allegedly, depending on obviously the reports you read and things of that nature. But things obviously do need to turn around very quickly for Forest. Otherwise, it could be a very, very, very long season ahead for the Nottingham-based club. Look, I wouldn't trust Chelsea's defence still with their injury issues, and I certainly wouldn't trust Robert Sanchez in goal either. Forest can certainly get something from this game, but will they? I don't know. I think Chelsea will have extra firepower up front, and unless Forest decide to change their approach in this game, or should I say, Ange decides to change his approach in this game, Chelsea will be getting the 3 points. So I'm going 2-0 to Chelsea and the Blues to get the all-important win at the City Ground. Next, we're moving on to Burnley against Leeds United, one of the 3 o'clock fixtures for your Saturday afternoon viewing, and I have gone with a 2-1 win to Leeds United here. Big start from Leeds. Big start from Leeds so far. Decent start. Probably a better start than most people were expecting. I think they can obviously fancy their chances here. I think Burnley are somewhat in the mud, in my opinion. I think they're already going down. I don't really see them staying up. And I think we're just starting to see now that the Premier League for this young Burnley side is probably a bit of a step up. That is a bit too far for the home side. That's not to say that they can't get anything from this game. Don't get me wrong. They will certainly fancy their chances against a potential fellow relegation candidate. But let's face it, Leeds are probably the favourites heading into this one, and that is where my prediction is going to lie, with the away side and with the favourites. So 2-1 to Leeds is what I've gone for here. I've also gone 2-1 in the game between Brighton and Newcastle in favour of the Magpies. Could be a big win, this. Like I say, Newcastle has seemingly been building up a little bit of momentum before the international break. Of course, big defeat to Arsenal, big collapse. But apart from that, the fixtures around about that period were seemingly very good for the Magpies. Their new summer signing, their new summer striker, and Nick Voltermader has certainly made a big impact instantly upon his debut season in the Premier League and his debut season for Newcastle. He's performed very, very well. They come up against a Brighton side who can create chances, but they can't just stick them in the back of the net. They are really struggling to score goals on this Brighton side. They're still very dangerous, and obviously Newcastle should not be taking this game for granted. We obviously do know that against Chelsea and Manchester City. Brighton have already picked up big wins against those teams there. So this is not a foregone conclusion by any stretch of the imagination. But, like I say, I think Newcastle are the favourites, and I think Newcastle will win. I think they're heading into this one with good momentum, and like I say, with their striker in good form, I give them the edge in this one. Next up, Selhurst Park awaits the arrival of Bournemouth as Crystal Palace take on the Cherries, and I've gone with a 2-2 draw. Now, Palace's run of a very good form, their unbeaten run at the beginning of this season, stretching over into the end of last season in all competitions, was ended just before the international break by Everton. Bournemouth have been going very, very well this season. Antoine Semenyo, in particular, is in inspired, sparkling form right now. I've gone 2-2 because I don't know. I feel like, Bournemouth could fancy their chances of winning this one. I feel like Palace at home will be difficult for any opposition, and they could certainly stake their claim to be winning this one. I don't know. I'm going for a draw, I guess. I'm going to call it down the middle. I can make a case for both of these teams to go and get the 3 points, but I think a 2-2 draw. But I'm expecting to see good football. I'm expecting to see goals galore. I'm wanting a good game here. I'm wanting and expecting a good game between these two sides. Very underrated. Very good start to the seasons. I'm looking forward to this one. I really, really am. But I'm calling it down the middle at 2-2. Next up, Manchester City host Everton. And I've gone with a 3-1 win to Manchester City. Now, this is nothing but a pure instinct on Erling Haaland. That is simply the point. We talk about Antoine Semenyo being in inspired and sparkling form. Well, Manchester City's talismanic striker is in red-hot goal-scoring form. For club and for country, it seems. The Norwegian is not slowing down anytime soon. Haaland is banging amongst the goals. He is in red-hot form, like I say, and I feel like it could be a difficult game ahead for Everton. Not impossible. We know that Everton against the big boys like to kind of throw a bit of a spanner in the works. But they will be without Jack Grealish, of course, who, of course, cannot play against his parent club whilst on loan at the Toffees. So that is going to be a big, big miss for Everton there. But they still have the players to cause City some problems on the transition. We know that City's defence isn't exactly watertight, and that could, of course, play into Everton's hands. But, like I say, if the kind of chances that Haaland is creating and getting created for this season, and the kind of goals he's scoring this season, he is seemingly more dangerous than ever. He really, really does seem to be more dangerous than ever. And that is why I reckon Man City will pick up a big win against the Toffees on Saturday. Moving on to the Stadium of Lights, where Sunderland will be taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Again, a favourable game by both of these teams. Wolves still without a win this season, but obviously will fancy their chances of taking on a Sunderland side who may still have a bit of a sting on them from that loss to Manchester United before the international break. But I've gone with a 1-1 draw here. Now, I can make a case for Sunderland because I think that they will try and fortify and make the Stadium of Light their home ground, a fortress, to obviously build their Premier League campaign of potential survival upon. But, Wolves haven't exactly been great. They've still not picked up a win this season. It's been a long struggle for the away side coming into this one. Maybe the international break was a good sort of way of rebuilding things a little bit with Wolves. I don't know. But either side could go on and win this, but I'm going to call it down the middle again. I'm going to go 1-1 come the final whistle between these two. A point apiece will be shared. Then we move on to Saturday's evening game, and it will see Fulham take on Arsenal in a London derby of sorts at Craven Cottage, and I've gone with a 1-0 win to the Gunners. Now, Arsenal were in very good attacking form. The international break, of course, has a possibility has a way of maybe disrupting things a little bit, shall we say. There is a slight possibility that could obviously occur with certain teams. But with Arsenal, they were in good form. They've got their players in form. They're starting to go through the gears, it seems, a little bit. And they're seemingly being inspired by other teams around them dropping points. To the point where, of course, Arsenal went into the international break top of the table. And they have a good opportunity, potential opportunity this weekend, of obviously extending their lead at the top of the table, even at this early stage. Fulham stand in their way, and we know that at home, Fulham can be very difficult opposition. We know that Fulham can be awkward to play against. We know that Fulham can be a bit of a bogey side for Arsenal in many aspects. You know, they have picked up a few draws against Arsenal in recent years, and we know that they can be difficult to play against. So this would be a big victory for Arsenal if they can obviously get over the line. I feel like with the added creativity and the hitting the ground running kind of nature of Eberechi Eze, for example, I feel like they will get the opportunities and chances that they crave. Bukayo Saka's obviously back in the mix. Martinelli's in good goal scoring form as well on the left hand side. So there is a lot there for Arsenal to play around with. It's just about finding the right combinations, taking their chances, and of course not leaking stupid goals, which, again, Arsenal can have a tendency of doing from time to time. But no, Arsenal should win this game. Arsenal should be winning this game. I'm throwing it all on Arsenal to win. I'm going 1-0 to the Gunners because, like I say, I know that Fulham can be awkward. It may seem a little bit low from Arsenal's goal count. Maybe they could get 2, maybe 3 and concede maybe 1. But Arsenal win at the end of the day. Arsenal do win at the end of the day, unfortunately. Obviously, as a Liverpool fan, I'm hoping and praying that Fulham can do something. But I've not got my hopes up too much. Let's put it that way. Moving on to Sunday's games, and first up, we've got an incredible game in store as Tottenham Hotspur take on Aston Villa at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I have gone 2-1 to Tottenham. Now, I was debating whether to go for another draw in this game. Aston Villa seemingly have picked up a bit of good run of form before the international break. They're starting to actually score goals. They're actually winning games. It seems like Unai Emery and Aston Villa have seemingly got over that little bit of a slow start that the early stages of the season seem to present to the villains there. But, like I say, Tottenham are going to be difficult opposition, but Villa certainly should fancy their chances of getting at least something from this game. Tottenham under Thomas Frank have been very, very good. They've been defensively more solid than they were previously, and attacking-wise, they are creating opportunities. They're not necessarily taking those opportunities to the best of their liking, but when they can be clinical, when they are clinical, they are very clinical. Mohamed Kudus has been absolutely brilliant to start his Tottenham career. I'm expecting him to have another big impact in this game. But yeah, I'm just sat back with Tottenham right now. I'm a bit more reserved about Tottenham. I'm just seeing what this whole Thomas Frank thing will inspire with Spurs, shall we say. Because we know what we're going to get from Aston Villa. We know exactly what we're going to get from Aston Villa. But Thomas Frank and Spurs is an interesting case, and it's one that I'm very interested in because I do like Thomas Frank, and I feel like it was a very good appointment when Spurs made that sort of signing, if you like. So I'm intrigued with this one. I'm intrigued with the game. The game is always a very good game to watch, so I am looking forward to seeing this one. Like I say, I am giving the edge to Tottenham. In this one. But again, I would not be surprised if a draw was on the cards. 2-1 Spurs is what I'm going for in this one. And that leads us to the penultimate game on this list. We're jumping ahead a little bit to Monday night's game, where West Ham United will be taking on Brentford at home. And I have gone with a 1-1 draw. Again, I could make a case and an argument for either one of these teams to take the initiative and take the victory. But instead, I'm going to call it down the middle. I think Nuno Espirito Santo still goes in search of his first win as West Ham boss. But again, Brentford have been probably better than I would have personally expected from them to start the season off. But at the same time, again, we've got a solid goalkeeper. Their striker is in decent enough form, but they're so hit and miss between. It's a little tricky to call this one. Again, West Ham certainly could get the victory. Brentford could certainly get the victory. But I'm going to call it down the middle. I'm going to go 1-1 come the final whistle between these two teams. And finally, in obviously the biggest game of this round of fixtures, the main event of this Premier League weekend, and probably the main event around the world, in what is still probably the biggest game in English football, the biggest game in world football, other than maybe El Clasicos. Liverpool take on Manchester United. Anfield awaits for your Sunday afternoon viewing. And I've gone with a 3-1 win to Liverpool. This is not up for negotiation. This is not up for debate. This has to be a win for Liverpool. Not necessarily 3-1, but it has to be a win. I'm looking for a big win. I'm looking for a big performance as well. The end of the, or should I say, before the international break, that week before was an absolute train wreck, an absolute horror show. And of course, Halloween is just around the corner. But I'm hoping that is just the blip, the kick up the backside that we needed, and that we are now going to refocus, redesign, and we are going to go again. And that everybody's firing on all cylinders. We're going to get Arne Slot to get the right combinations of players down. He's going to make the right choices in terms of his team selection, in terms of his tactics, like he was doing at the end of last season in general. That is what we need from our head coach in this game. And of course, future games going forward. We need to just put that little bit of a blip to rest. Leave it out as just a blemish on our record. But then we redeem ourselves. And this would be the perfect start to that redemption. Redemption. We need to obviously bounce back. We need to win. It's non-negotiable. If this was at Old Trafford, you could maybe argue that, maybe a draw might be okay. This is at Anfield, though. This is against Man United. This would mark 4 defeats on the bounce in all competitions if we were to lose this one. 4 games without a win if we were to not win this one. This is non-negotiable. I can't stress that enough. Non-negotiable. Liverpool have to win. And I personally want to see a good performance. I want to see Florian Wirtz start and link up with Isak. I want to see Isak firing on all cylinders. I want to see a strong performance from our centre-backs. I want to see a good performance from our midfield. And I want to see our full-backs on it from the start. That's what I want to see. I'm hoping that will be the case. I'm really, really hoping that will be the case. Look, it's not under realms of possibility for United to get something from this game. Obviously, they did so last year, and they have done so in previous years, even when United haven't exactly been at the peak of their powers. United, Liverpool, it's a derby without it being an official derby. So the cliches come out. Form goes out the window, all of that kind of stuff. We know all about that. But for me personally, it's a case of, if they do get something from this game, it is not impossible, but highly unlikely that United would have got something on merit of them, but from the downfall of Liverpool. And I don't wish that to sound big-headed or so self-absorbed, but it's genuinely how I feel in recent games. In recent games, I do feel like it's not been the opposition that's beaten us, other than maybe Crystal Palace. It's been Liverpool, or so should I say Arne Slot, not putting out the right team, not setting up the best tactics, and partially on the players for not for not firing on all cylinders and not being at the races for the most part. I don't wish that to take anything away from United, but that's just the genuine way I feel. Liverpool need to win. Liverpool must win. And I hate to think of what our fan base is going to be like if we don't. I really, really hate to think that. And I don't even know how I'm going to react, in all honesty, if we do lose or not even win against Man United. So, yeah. We shall wait and see on Sunday. But I'm going 3-1. Salah to score, as he normally tends to do against Manchester United. Salah to score is probably going to be a decent insight for this weekend if you fancy a bit of a flutter or anything along those lines. And there you have it. Those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts, comments, opinions, feelings, but most of all, of course, your predictions on how you think every single game will go. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Let me know down in the comment section, people. I'm sure it'll all make for great and interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And of course, as always, I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.